Hey guys. Okay, so I have lots of notes here. Love making my outlines. Um, this is just a quick live stream. I'm going to be doing more live streams starting from here on out. Actually, I think this might actually be like my first ever live stream on YouTube. But the topic is how to practice self love, and the format that I really enjoy is just 3 tips. Helps me sort of organize my thinking and helps me drill down to give you something that's useful. So it's going to be super quick, just very fast. How to practice self love, 3 tips. Tip number 1: talk to and about yourself with love. A lot of times first, we know that words are super powerful. But we're careless about words. We're careless about the words that we use, the words that we choose. Um, and this can have a detrimental effect. We've had the experience where we have said something to or about someone that we care about, and it didn't land well. That person felt bad. For those of us who are self aware enough to understand um, how our words impact the people that we're sharing them with, uh, you're a little bit ahead of the game, and you might have seen in that moment that it just didn't land well. For those of us who are not as self aware, sometimes we don't realize it until much further down the line that what we've just said or something that we said just sort of off the cuff weeks or months, even years ago, hurt someone's feelings, someone about whom we care and who we didn't want to hurt. So turns out the same thing applies to us. We think about hurting other people's feelings, and you can sometimes see when you're hurting other people's feelings with something that you said, even if you didn't really intend to. But we don't look at ourselves, and sometimes we don't treat ourselves as though we also need to feel good, as though we also need to feel like we trust ourselves, as though we also need to think of as though we also need to feel like we value ourselves. So that can be a bad feeling. So when we talk about ourselves and when we talk to ourselves, use kindness, come from a place of love. I'm huge on affirmations. I think affirmations are really underrated, and I think they're talked about a lot, but I still think they're underrated. And I'll be talking about those more to come. But just kind of put that in your back pocket. Affirmations are one of the things, one of the tools that we can use so that we can just be intentional about talking to ourselves and about ourselves with love. Okay, so number 1, talk to yourself and about yourself with love. Number 2, be true to yourself. If you're like me, you're sort of a recovering pleaser. You want to help, you want to try and fix, you want people to feel like their life is better for having known you in some way, that you contributed, that you did some kind of good. And I think it's great to want to do good in the world. It's great to have that intention. What we don't want is for that intention, that good intention, to kind of turn on ourselves and make us make choices that we would not have made if it weren't for the impact that we thought it was going to have on someone else. If it weren't for us thinking that someone was going to like us for doing this, or it was going to, well, basically, yeah, just someone's going to like us for doing this. So be true to yourself, make the decisions, and do the things, and say the things, and take the chances, and make the choices because that's what you want, not because this is what someone about whom you care wants. A parent, a sibling, a spouse, a friend, even a semi stranger like a neighbor. Do the things and make the choices and go the places that you want to go, not the doing things and making the choices and going to places that you think that's your mom or your dad or your sibling or your spouse or your friend or some person who's in a class or lives in the same apartment complex that you hardly ever that you see maybe in passing but don't really know all that well might think of you because of that. It's not a great thing to base your life on. So that's two. Talk to and about yourself with love. Two, uh, um, be true to yourself. And number three, trust yourself. So we'll circle back to this a lot. And that's a big part of this whole process of self love. Come to trust yourself. There's nothing, not there's nothing worse, but one thing that is not a good feeling is when we don't trust ourselves. And building trust with ourselves is just like building trust with someone else, but we don't think about trying to build trust with ourselves. If you showed up late, then you would think that person might not trust you to be on time next time. If you broke your word, you broke your promise, you would think that that person is more likely to not believe you the next time you make a promise or the next time you give your word about something. In our own minds, we do that to ourselves a lot. There are things that we say we're going to do. We're going to start exercise regimens, or we're going to call people that we care about um, and that energize us, but we put it off, or we let it slide because there's some other thing that's probably de-energizing that we'll go ahead and do because we think it's going to please somebody else or make us look a certain way. And every time we do that, it chips away at our trust for ourselves. So we'll come back to that also in future videos, but I just sort of wanted to set the table and just start bringing you guys you know, little 3-tip talks on topics that are important. And one of these important topics is self-love. It's something that takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of effort, it takes intention, but a lot of times we're not thinking about that. We're actually putting our attention into making someone else happy or doing something that we don't want to do but feel obligated to do, or other people around us are doing, so we just feel like we're just kind of getting pulled along with the crowd. A life of self-love sets the foundation for a life where we can feel more energized, feel that we trust ourselves, feel that we're being true to ourselves, and feel that we're excited about the decisions we're making and the goals that we're setting. All right, so I hope that was helpful. And I'm going to go ahead and end this stream. Thank you guys.